morning, Sri Lanka. Welcome to our show on another great morning as well. You're here with me, Amaya, and we have Wassam on the show as well. Say hi to everybody, Wassam.
Hello, hi.
So, Wassam, now each day we bring a different story to all our viewers in the morning, and I think that's the reason that many people tune in to watch Good Morning Sri Lanka, because we have different guests who share so many of their stories with us, and who doesn't love a really good story, right?
Exactly, and if you're coming into 2014 as a parent, and especially if you're a new parent with little kids, you're going to love this show, because we are going to talk a lot about storytelling, especially to your kids. And I cannot imagine doing this show with a better host than Amaya, because Amaya loves working with kids. It's just recently that Amaya was in a production. She was dressed as a reindeer. She was dancing on stage with little kids.
Wow. I just don't know where to look now. Thank you, Wassam, for that.
I mean, I keep telling everybody.
It's really nice to work with kids, and they absorb things very fast, much faster than adults do.
Tell me, was there a lot of storytelling in that production?
There was. Everything was a story in that production, but that's a Christmas tale. We moved past Christmas now, and we're here in January in 2014, and we're going to speak about new techniques.
But before we get there, I need to ask you, growing up, how about you? Did your parents tell you a lot of stories growing up?
I did not. My parents, actually. My parents did read me a few storybooks, but my grandmother was an amazing storyteller, and I think that generation, you find some really great storytellers in there. And one of my favorite stories,
actually, what's with the grandparents being the ones who always take care of the storytelling part?
Yes,
in
I
the
think
family.
that's part of the job description in being a grandmother.
And of course, we always have this saying, I have a lot of stories to tell my grandkids one day.
That is true. So maybe she's been saving up all those stories to tell me one day. So in that way, I mean, there are so many stories that children would love to hear, but we also have to realize that they're listening and they're understanding things, and they're also learning in this process of storytelling, and that's where storytelling really takes on a very important role in a child's life. And when we speak about children, of course, we have our resident expert on childcare, Arundhati Sivagurunadan.
Oh, resident expert.
Yes.
We have given her a title
now. Of course. I mean, she's been on the show, so many shows with us. We've covered everything from child nutrition to learning to what to give your children for Christmas.
Yes.
So we've done so many shows. It's great to have you back on the show with us, Arundhati. Good morning.
Good morning, Arundhati. And we also have Ashanti Pereira, who is a preschool teacher who has come up with a very innovative method of telling stories to your kids. So we will get into that in a little bit, won't we, Amaya?
Definitely.
And of course, Amaya and I, this morning, we're going to be the kids on the show and we're going to listen to their stories.
Definitely. So Arundhati, if we can start off and ask you, why is it important to incorporate storytelling into your child's development?
Well, every child has an innate love for a story, right? It's unmistakable. Even as adults, we love a good story, right? But if you see the practical part of it, development part of it, if I say that way, is that the brain triggers a lot of emotions, so much of language strengthening, plus it gives the child a lot of understanding about situations, right? And of course, I feel storytelling is a way of freeing the child from the more technicalities of academic education, right? So it gives it a more comfortable way of teaching things to a child.
I see. And at what age do you think it's appropriate to start telling your kids stories?
There's no age as such. You can tell a story like you start nursery rhymes when children are infants, right? So that is also a way of stimulating their brains. So I feel that maybe like if you really want to show things and tell a child, maybe 1.5, 2 years.
Then that's the best time to start, because they can understand language at that time, is it?
The brain will incorporate the language plus the sensorial aspect of it, which you're trying to introduce.
Okay. So they have to put a lot of actions into the story as well.
Yes,
and a lot of pictures. So Ashanti, what's your opinion on this? Now you have children of your own as well, but you've also worked with so many children because you're a preschool teacher by profession. So how do you think storytelling becomes important in a child's development?
I think that's very important because when I work with my own children, I can see the development. I mean, it's very impressive, because day to day we do a lot of stories, pretend play. We use a lot of techniques to tell stories, and I obviously with my own daughter, like I started different techniques, and I see results, a lot of results with that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so
storytelling really does develop a child, and even the things like having playhouses, and then you get all the siblings and the cousins together and you have a house and you give out money and they come and buy things using that money. So even things like that, role playing and imagining something as well, is that also a part of this process?
Yeah, it's like a fundamental development process in a child. When you it basically strengthens their language plus creative skills and imagination skills as well. But then what we need to understand is storytelling is like after 20,000 years, like the first time you saw the drawings in a cave, that's the first way we found out there is communication, right? So after that, this is the way we have been communicating storytelling. So it's a huge impact on how you put it across.
Let's see, Ashant, I need to ask you this question, since you have kids of your own as well. A point we brought up earlier is the fact that we find a lot of grandparents being the ones who tell their kids, these kids the stories. So does it matter who actually sits down and recites these stories or tell them these stories, or is it important that it has to be the parent?
not very. I think anybody can tell a story, especially it improves the bond. I think the bond is very important. So usually with our practice, grandparents and kids, they are very close with each other, and no matter which language they use, it can be like what we discussed earlier, single like Maname stories, or like nursery rhymes like Five Little Speckled Frogs, lot of stories. I mean, we can share a lot of things with grandparents because that's our trend. Then I think parents nowadays, they are very busy, so without neglecting that part, anybody can contribute. So I think that is, I mean, I don't think that plays a huge role. Like anybody can tell a story, and as long as the child enjoys that, isn't it?
Springing from one of the comments which you made, Arundhati, you said that storytelling it stimulates imagination. But in many instances, and the other thing which you brought out was also about nursery rhymes. Now, I've had first-hand experience in terms, I've seen many parents using nursery rhymes and stories to put their kids to sleep. Now, what I'm trying to get at is that the most appropriate time for storytelling? Because in my opinion, the time you go to sleep is the time your brain almost shuts down, so it really does not give you a lot of room to imagine things. So is it right to use storytelling as a mechanism to put your kids to sleep?
Do you read before you go to sleep?
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah, so why do you do that?
To fall asleep sometimes, and at sometimes to
it's a comfort, right?
It's a
so
comfort,
storytelling is a method of comfort to a child. So the brain does not shut down.
Okay.
Actually, it will tell you to stop when you're falling asleep. So when the child falls asleep, the mother will obviously stop telling the story. Because I feel it is ideal, especially at bedtime, when you cuddle up, when the child is relaxed, the mother is relaxed, and that's time both of them are comfortable, and that will be fabulous. Because I don't think there's a time for stories. What do you think, Ashan? It's a time for a story.
And time is a good time.
Time is a good time.
So then on that note, what are the best methods of storytelling?
For me, I feel it should be hands-on, because this is something, okay, for example, it should be sensorial and attractive. Because why I say that, say, I explain to you, say I come and tell you this big story, but I went to this place and I had this superb meal, right? So it is just verbal communication which is going into your brains, right? You understand the sense of the language. But what if I bring you a bit of a takeaway, and while I'm telling you this story, I tell you to taste it?
That would help a lot.
That will be an experience for you.
Definitely.
So storytelling should be an experience.
I see.
So that's the best way. Also, on that note, being hands-on as well as sensorial. Now, Ashanti, you've come up with an innovative new way of telling stories, and that's something that you want to share with us on Good Morning Sri Lanka today. Something that each parent can do, I think, in my opinion. And what is that? This is called Story Sack.
Yes.
All right, let's see. This looks very colorful. We'll try and get a close-up of that. But you can explain to us what this is.
Yes, basically, this is a nursery rhyme.
Okay.
You can actually just hold that up to the camera so you can capture that. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Right, okay. So, this is a favorite nursery rhyme of 5 little speckled frogs.
Okay.
And instead of telling a story by looking at a book, we can actually do kind of a role play with this story.
Okay.
So 5 little speckled frogs sat on a speckled log eating the most delicious bug. There it goes. And and one jumped into a pool when it was nice and
I want to
cool.
get a pillow and cuddle up.
Now only 1, 2, 3, 4 little frogs.
So this actually stimulates the story, plus you're introducing sensory to the numbers to the child.
I see. Yes.
So you're bringing
and you're showing the numbers in big bold colors, and then they associate one with that
And
number.
they can touch.
They can touch, feel, and learn. And
so there's an educational element that you brought into it.
exactly. Yes.
I think this is great, Amaya. I think we will come right back. We're going to go in for a short commercial break. We're going to come right back and get straight back into this from where you stopped. So don't go away. A lot of exciting stuff coming up. We'll be right back after this break.